and hours. The sweat on my back's got my shirt soaked and sour. And oh, it's already gone. Second night's coming and I'm spinning back around. We're all caught up, can't hear or feel the sound. And oh, it's already gone. And here comes the feeling when you don't got nothing, and all you want to do is get up and start running. You can't hide long cause you know it's gonna start up again. Here's one thing that I know for certain, this life's too short to be worrying about you hurting for long. Oh, it's already gone. Got time but money's not something that's free. Seems the roll of the dice never rolls back to me. And oh, it's already gone. A bird in my hand, two cans in the other, start spinning around. Now here comes another, and oh, it's already gone. And here comes the feeling when you don't got nothing, and all you want to do is get up and start running. You can't hide long cause you know it's gonna start up again. Here's one thing that I know for certain, this life's too short to be worrying about you hurting for long. Oh, it's already gone. And all you want to do is get up and start running. You can't hide long cause you know it's gonna start up again. Here's one thing that I know for certain, this life's too short to be worried about you hurting for long. Whoa, it's already gone. Already gone. It's already gone. Go.
Yes, sir, Jags fans. Just like the song says, already gone, and Trent Baalke is already gone. So tonight, a special Wednesday night show. I think you all know why it's a special Wednesday night show. The news just broke earlier today that former Jaguars general manager Trent Baalke has mutually parted ways with Shad Khan and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, the thumbnail says fired. The show says fired. But we know how it goes in corporate America. I'm glad you guys are here. I am pumped for tonight. Well, was it a little too late? Yeah, I mean, we missed out on some coaching candidates, and that's probably led to the reason why he got fired. But we'll get into all of that in a second. This is a fan show, so get into the comments. Although I will say, before I even started the show, there was like a lot of comments, and so I'm going to do my best to get to them all. If I miss it and it was a good one, type it again. I'll try to get to it, I promise. I do appreciate all you guys being here tonight. All I'm going to do is let you guys talk about Trent Baalke. Will I throw in a life lesson? Maybe, right? Maybe. But most of the night is going to be you guys talking about Trent Baalke, where the future of the Jags goes now. I just did a show last night with my buddy Dalton, and he texted me. He's like, man, I guess our show is a day too early. Yeah, I guess so, because this is a major news, a big change in the franchise and the direction that we're going. Still need a head coach. Now we kind of need a GM. I don't know what Ethan Wall is doing, but before we get going to the comments, which are rifling off right now, make sure to follow all the Twitter, Instagram, all this stuff in the video description. It's a lot of good stuff in there. Man, what a day. What a day, man. I was off today, so like, let's go. Good day. Good day. First comment before the show even started. Juju said, hope is a dangerous thing. Hope can drive a man insane. Yes, it can. Sea Breacher, the first channel member in the chat, says we should have done this weeks ago. Yeah, I mean, what is this? I think Baalke, Doug Peterson was fired January 6th. So this is 16 days after the firing of Doug Peterson. Probably would have made a little more sense to fire him at the same time. I know we were all saying that, but this is like par for the course for Shad Khan. He holds on to everyone too long, whether it's Doug Marrone for too many years, whether it's Tom Coughlin for an extra year, whether it's Doug Peterson for a little too long, and whether it's Trent Baalke for 16 days too long. He has an MO of doing this. So shout out to Shad Khan. At least he did it. Brenneman says, Baalke is already gone. I love it. I love it. Robert Atchert says, heel, yeah. I know what you mean, though. Aiden Tobin says, well, the war is over. Jordy Duval says, let's go, boys. Callie Jack says, for sure. What's up, fellas? Not much. Had a good day. Didn't do much today. Couldn't really go outside because it was too cold. I tried to do a little home workout. I played a little guitar. Just some little, things I do around the house. I don't know. Isaiah Jones says, Shad just had to learn the hard way. I do wonder. I wish we were privy to these conversations about what these coaching candidates had said. Like, I can imagine, and I want to think that they were sitting in these interviews with all these coaches they interviewed: Aaron Glenn, Ben Johnson, Liam Cohen, Robert Saleh, Patrick Graham, Steve Spagnuolo. And it probably was Steve Spagnuolo. I bet you Steve Spagnuolo was the only one with the balls to look at Baalke dead in the eyes and then go over to Khan and say, I would never work for this guy. Because he's old. He's got nothing to lose. He's got a good job he could fall back on. I bet you it was Steve Spagnuolo, now that I think about it. I bet you it was freaking Steve Spagnuolo that looked at them and was like, you're not going to hire anybody with this guy. I bet you that's who it was. So, yeah, he did learn the hard way. We did miss out on Ben Johnson, missed out on Aaron Glenn, potentially Liam Cohen. I know there's some speculation. He hasn't signed his deal yet. We could call him back up. I doubt that's the case. Looking like it's probably going to be Robert Saleh, potentially maybe Joe Brady. Maybe if you get some interviews after the playoffs. Is Mike McCarthy out there as a name? Are they serious about Patrick Graham? I don't know. Kellen Moore, I guess, is still out there. Although everyone's saying he's going to the Cowboys. Pete Carroll. D. Steiny says, too little, too late, but at least he's gone. Brenneman says, Hitler is dead. Hitler's been dead. Timmy Devil 999 says, chat, are we cooked? I'd like to hear what Timmy has to say, because he's typically the chat pessimist around here. So I'd like to hear if he has a little bit of optimism for the first time today. Shay, channel member, and my favorite commenter, because he's got the inside scoop at times. And Shay says, Florida froze over. We are free. I mean, it snowed in Florida. Shad Khan fired Trent Baalke. Beautiful day. It didn't snow where I live. I live at the beach, so probably won't snow due to the way the onshore winds work. Shout out to Cohen for finally bringing change. So I know some people, I was perusing Jags Reddit. I actually want to pop over there in a second because there's something funny I want to show you guys. They're giving Cohen all the credit. So one of the Redditors said, put Liam Cohen in the pride of the Jaguars. I love it. I do want to show you this because this is pretty funny stuff right here. All right, so I've been like, I'm on Reddit a lot, the Jags Reddit, and they have this guy, Bacon Bit Tarded, who has been editing a pic of Shad Khan for 16 days. 16 days. And I don't know if you can see this, but no, that's as big as it's going to get, I guess. Just all these edits until he gets fired. And so shout out the Bacon Bit Tarded. He might have done it. He might have done it. The memes might have done it. Very good. Very good. This was the official statement on from Shad Khan following several discussions with Trent Baalke this week. Several discussions. We both arrived at the conclusion that it is in our mutual best interest to respectfully separate effective immediately. Trent leaves us with my deepest appreciation for his efforts over the past 5 seasons. Yeah, thank you for that 31% win percentage over the last 5 seasons. That's very good. That's very good. 31%. That's like almost winning a game every 3 games, but it's not winning a game every 3 games. It's winning a game every 2.8 games. 3.8 games. You guys know me in math. Ethan Waugh will serve as the interim general manager and play an important role with others as we continue the process of interviewing candidates to serve as our new head coach. I am deeply committed to building a winner here in Jacksonville and look forward to introducing a new head coach who will make that happen for our players and fans alike. Now, this gives me a little bit of some things to think about. Ethan Waugh serving as interim. And then he goes on to say, I look forward to introducing a new head coach. So it sounds like he has a new head coach that he's looking to introduce, because I don't think he would have said that if he was planning on hiring a GM first and then getting a head coach. So it sounds like one of 2 things is happening. And this is speculation, but I'm usually right. Not to be prideful, but to be factual. First thing, either Ethan Waugh is going to be promoted to general manager, or, which I might be okay with. I mean, Ethan Waugh has a really good reputation, and I don't know, can't do worse than Baalke. Or potentially Shad Khan / Tony Khan, the owners, are looking to become more involved. Now, everything about this Jags job was like, your owner's not going to get involved. Your owner's not going to have his hand in decisions. And this may lead to potentially Shad Khan becoming more of a meddling owner. Now, being a meddling owner isn't always bad. It isn't always good. But those are the 2 things I'm taking out of that. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misreading that. I'd love to hear what you guys think. And my goodness, I have been scrolling. There's a lot of comments in here. So I am so sorry if I missed your comment. Welcome to a live show. This is your first live show. I'm guessing that it is for some people, because we have it's climbing by the second of viewers up to 175 between Twitter and YouTube. That's abnormal for this early in the show. I'm not going to get to all your comments. And if you're new here, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Subscribe. We usually try to get to all the comments. It may be tough today. All right, I'm just gonna scroll down and pick a random comment here. Oh, Timmy Devil. I'm predicting Shad big brain move. Ethan Waugh GM for 6 years and Robert Saleh head coach. Okay, that's kind of what I see happening. BT, who's a channel member. We love our channel members around here. I've been asked in the past, how do I become a channel member? Well, you have to go on your desktop, and I have it set up where for like $3 you can be a channel member. You don't get any perks besides you get a little thing by your name. So I'm not trying to convince you to do it by any means. I don't want you to pay any money to me, but you can. But you don't have to. Okay, I'm not out here making a living out here. Serious question. Do we expect coaching candidates to have GMs they want to bring with them? How does that go? That's a very good, serious question. And as someone that's followed football my entire life, I'm noticing it being a trend here recently. These coaches are starting to have more power, which makes sense if you think about it, because these athletes are starting getting paid so much money that as the athletes' salaries go up, the coaches' salaries also scale up. So when you're starting to get these coaches into the pay ranges that there are now, you have a more vested interest in them being successful if you're an owner. So it's in your best interest to bring in a GM who can work with your coach. If you have a coach that can't work with your GM, you are wasting all of that money you're paying your coach. And now that we're paying coaches 20, 30, 40, $50 million, it's in your best interest for your GM and your coach to kind of come in together and kind of go out together. So it makes sense. But yes, that trend is happening more recently. Jeff Singer says, now we can peel the Band-Aid and move forward. Tekken is my world says, what's going on, Jason, my man? Not much. I got my UNF Sunrise shirt on. Repping both, two of my favorite corporations. John Smith agrees with Tim. Jeff Singer says, head coach and GM usually try and align with each other unless it's been a GM role for a long time with a successful team. Jesus loves y'all. That's a true statement, Yankees judge. Although I do not like the Yankees. That is a true statement. William says, want Cliff Kingsbury or Joe Brady? I got a friend, Scott, who was on a week ago or so, and he's a big Cliff Kingsbury guy. My only hesitation about Cliff Kingsbury would be he seems to only have success or lack of success. He's really only coached with extremely mobile quarterbacks. So will he fit here in Jacksonville? I don't know. Joe Brady kind of seems like a guy that could fit more with Trevor Lawrence, and I know he's with Lamar Jackson, but he was very successful at LSU with Joe Burrow. So thank the Lord, Baalke is gone. Venom says 100% about Spag's tolerance. I just hit 43 and I have zero patience for anything anymore, but especially money, career, and time. I like that. I love that you added time in there because so many people get so caught up in the first two. They get so caught up in the first two things. And this isn't the life lesson. This isn't the life lesson, okay? But please remember how important your time is. And money and your career are not the most important thing in the world. They're really not. And it does take age and experience to figure that out. So if you're young, you don't feel that way, that's okay. But I'm telling you, at some point you will. And the sooner you do, the more you will enjoy your life. John Smith says, finally some hope for a couple weeks. Jonathan Burhan says, so then it's solid. It's kind of looking like it. Sir Jags 95 says, late, but I'm here. Hey, you're just like Shad Khan. He was a little late in firing, but he still did it. Timmy says, Shad will keep someone he knows in the building as he always does. That's true, and that's kind of what smart businessmen do. Tech is my world. Do you think we should go Steve Spagnuolo if we suddenly decide to go defense? I'm not a big fan of the other defensive candidates personally. I don't know. I mean, that's the weird thing is Spagnuolo has had a shot with the Rams, was very unsuccessful. I feel like he's kind of getting aged out, which I hate to say, but I think it's true. I think we're going to go the D coordinator route. It's probably obviously going to be Robert Saleh. And I like Patrick Graham. I talked with Dalton last night. You should watch the show if you haven't watched it yet. I had my buddy Dalton on last night. We talked about all the coaching candidates. Obviously, we talked about Liam Cohen for a little bit. You can just skip past that part. But we talked a lot about Robert Saleh. We talked a lot about Patrick Graham. So watch it because I think I made a pretty compelling case about Patrick Graham. We are so freaking cooked, guys. I have a feeling this is going to get worse. Dalton deserves a little celebration tonight. Yes, he does. He will. Need to bring the boys in for Club Jaguar. Okay, yeah, Club Jaguar was supposed to happen. It didn't. That's okay. UCF's having some issues with his account, but he'll be fine. He will be fine. Luca says, who would you want as the next GM? Would you want to go head coach brings in GM or GM brings in their head coach? I think Shad's, I kind of teased it earlier. I really think Shad's kind of bringing in, taking on a larger role. I really do. And whether it's Shad or it's Tony, I think they're both like, screw this. We suck. We had a 31% win percentage with Trent Baalke. We were terrible before that. We had one good year in 2017. We've been awful since I've been here. Shad Khan has admittedly gone the route of turning it over to experts, whether it's GM or VPs. I think he's like, you know what? I'm over it. I'm done. I'm stepping in. I'm coming in as a guy who's going to have his hand more in the decision-making process. And I think that he tried to do that with Baalke. And that's why he kept Baalke, because I think he did diminish Baalke's role. But with the kickback and blowback he got from these coaching interviews, he probably had no choice but to mutually part ways. But to answer your question, I know Cunningham from the Lions is a guy everybody wants. Does he go with Aaron Glenn to the Jets? I don't know. I'm not good at the GM stuff because they'll hire some rando pro scout personnel dude and we'll know nothing about him. Sources are saying Trent Baalke already has a new job lined up. UNF Panda Express line cook. Okay, now, I don't want Trent Baalke ruining my I love Panda Express. I haven't been there in like over a year, but the double orange chicken with the noodles. Jags Illustrated says, "What's good, my boy? Hey, we're having a good night tonight. I was off today because it was apparently can't go outside in 20-degree weather. Trent Baalke fired. Listen to some Meek Mill to get me hyped up for the show. I'm feeling good, boys. Jags Day. Good day to be Jags. Chef Florida Boy says, what's up, brother? I knew you wasn't going to leave us hanging tonight. Come on, Chef. You know that I would never do that. Volk Fang only took 2 kicks in the nuts this cycle to decide to wear a cup. I like that analogy. Very good analogy there. Very good. Jonathan Burns, regardless of if we have Trent Baalke at GM or not, we will be trash. Whoa. Come on now. We're all happy and optimistic, Jonathan. Rothcam says, yo, I got out of being impassive with the team when I heard the news. Think we go after GM first, then head coach? So we've been asked that question a lot. I'll go back to the statement, which is really kind of throwing me off a bit. He says, I am deeply committed to building a winner here in Jacksonville and look forward to introducing a new head coach who will make that happen for our players and fans alike. So it's just weird for him to say, I look forward to introducing a new head coach if he plans on bringing a GM first. Unless I'm totally reading this too much into it, which I do sometimes. One of my faults. Can't help it. Trying to be better. Jeff Singer says, Saleh, I think, is good. Woody Johnson's a terrible owner. I think he was railroaded in New York. What's up, Jason? What's up, Tapa? If you were picking the next GM, I don't know GMs. The only one I know is the dude from the Lions, Ian Cunningham. And the problem is because they're just all like I said, like player, pro, personnel, scouts, they're weird. There's no tiered system under a GM. So it's weird to kind of identify some of these guys. Some guys will put out like lists, but they're never really accurate. So I don't know. The well-run franchises typically have their people poached the most. You see the Colts get people poached a lot. The Eagles get people poached a lot. I'm guessing the Lions will now too. Ryan D says, I have hope in him and haven't completely sold my stock, but it is time to admit that Trevor isn't the draw we think he is. $55 million per year is a lot of money tied up in someone risky. We talked a good amount about Trevor Lawrence last night on my show with Dalton, so go back and check that out. I brought up to Dalton's. It was kind of annoying with Dalton, and here's why. Because you guys know me. Whenever I bring people on, whether it's Travis or I'm on with Jordan and UCF, or regardless, I'm always like trying to like fire them up a little bit. Like, try to get them to like, get under their skin a little bit, attack them with questions, disagree with them for the sake of disagreement. I couldn't with Dalton. Everything he said, I disagreed with 100%. And although I know Dalton really well in person, so I'm not too mad about it, but it was a little frustrating because I was just like, every time he said something, I was like, oh yeah, I agree. And we kind of talked about Trevor a little bit. We're worried. We're worried. That $55 million price tag, it has us worried. If Cohen doesn't come back, I'm heartbroken. But Brady and Bill's personnel sounds better than Cohen and Baalke to me. People are quick to anoint Liam Cohen's a good head coach. Not saying you're wrong, but y'all are quick now. Y'all are quick. Jags Illustrated says, y'all think Cohen coming back? I don't think so. Topa says Cohen has the best of both worlds in Tampa. I don't think he's coming here. Bucky Brooks is GM. I don't want another Gene Smith. Yeah, it's true. Or Dave Caldwell. Where Big Diesel says, where was this when Ben Johnson was available is my main question. Now, that's the biggest question we all have. This should have happened 16 days ago. But I guess the best time to start is today, right? Isn't there a quote about that or something like that? That dude Evan channel member says, Jason, 'tis a great day. Tis. Crazy to think they waited this long for someone that should have been done. Yeah, I know. And I know Khan's getting like cooked on message boards and things like that. But this is how Khan does things. He takes forever to do everything. It is what it is. At least he's building this new stadium. Jonathan says, I've tried to be optimistic for decades, Jason. I can't. That's fair. That is fair. Wouldn't mind Joe Brady. He actually turned Josh Allen of turning over the ball, and he is actually thinking instead of trying to wing it. Good habits out of Trevor, plus he is 35. So you like the young guy. 35 is a good age, I will say. Great age. I think John Gruden would get the organization shaped up, then get fired. we would be better for it. I like John Gruden as a person, but as a GM, I don't know. I love seeing him on Barstool though. United for GM. I couldn't do. I guarantee you. I could structure a roster that wins 31% of games. Guarantee you. Not a doubt in my mind. I could run a chat GPT simulator that drafts players and signs free agents and structures contracts that could win 31% of games. I miss UNF Sabaro so. Oh, that's a throwback. Would run there for slices and cheesecake during the break of a 2-hour night class. Love Jags. Oh man, UNF man, those are the days. Those are the days. Had a lot of good memories there on campus. I still think we kick the tires on Mike Tomlin. Would be willing to waive his no trade clause if he has full control here. He kind of just seems like a Pittsburgh guy now. I'm not gone. Sorry, trying to read. I'm not gonna lie. Joe Brady iffy. All right. Hopefully Baalke is running the flag football program at UNF. Chancellor has to fire him after one season. Hey, I want some intramural championships, all right? Watch the show often from Spain. Finally here live. Well, William, that's awesome. Shout out to you for being here. You and the 500 other people that are here right now. Shout out to you guys. Thank you. I guess it's a bad time to start talking politics, probably, with the 500 people here. Jeff Singer says the thing with Trevor's contract is he's not paid $55 a year. His contract is very team-friendly for cap purposes. Okay, Jeff. Thank you. Appreciate that. What about giving Big Bo a role for his advice and direction, if nothing else? I don't think fans are too happy with Big Bo right now because if he was like staunchly backing Baalke. And now he kind of looks like he might have a little egg on his face. And people are not happy with him, but he doesn't care. I know Tony pretty well. The last thing he cares about is anyone's opinion of him, which I respect. I don't know though. I kind of would. I don't know what role you would give him. An advisory role, sure. I think the narrative that Shaw doesn't know football or he's not hands-on is washed up, dude. Washed up. Dude has owned the team for over a decade. If you don't know football by now, it's his own fault. That's a good point. Very good point. Oh, we got Carson Shack in the chat. Channel member Carson Shack. Hardworking Carson Shack. Starting to think Ben and Cohen didn't want to come here to begin with. LOL, just use it as leverage. Yeah. Those of you that have watched my channel for a while, or watched me on with Club Jaguar with UCF and Jordan from Gen Jag, I've been saying from the very beginning, and again, not looking for I told you so, but didn't think those guys were coming here ever. But good point on leverage. Baalke was Jerry and the Jags fans were Tom, and Tom finally won. I like the cartoon reference. Big Diesel, it's sad to say, but we literally had to sacrifice Ben and Liam in order for Con to fire Baalke. I'll take that. I love watching Gruden on Barstool also. Fun stuff. Yeah, he's a good guy. T-Law's contract structured over 3 years for everyone. 17, 24, and then $35 million on the cap. Then he can be cut for zero dead money. He has to deliver in 3 seasons to get to 2028 for unguaranteed big money years. So there's a chance that Trevor doesn't even play in the new stadium, is what we're saying. I'm just glad we got Marlboro Man out of here. I don't know what that means. That damn fire Baalke plane is the reason Khan kept him for spite, not allowing fans to push the narrative. Oh. Who would your ideal head coach be? It free agent or possible to trade for? Oh, for coach. Ideally, I'm going to lose all of my 550 viewers right now, but I'll stand behind I'm a big Mike LaFleur guy. I think we're a year behind the Mike LaFleur coaching cycle, the current offensive coordinator for the Rams. I know he doesn't call plays, but Kevin O'Connell didn't call plays either. And he got a job for the Vikings. Look what he did with the Vikings. I think he's young and he is a McVay guy, but he's actually more of a Kyle Shanahan guy than he is a McVay guy. He went through all of Kyle Shanahan's teams. Shanahan took him everywhere. He had 1 year in the Jets as the OC under Saleh. They kicked him out to bring in Nate Hackett for Aaron Rodgers. That's who I like, but I'd be cool with a culture guy. I mean, I don't know if Saul is a culture guy. I know the players like him. I loved Aaron Glenn. He was my guy. I don't know, man. It's hard to. I mean, who would I want? I told you that's why I'd want Mike LaFleur, because like if we're gonna roll the dice on a guy, because if you're hiring a coach in a vacancy, they've either been fired in the past or haven't proven it, obviously. So you're gambling on anybody. I'd rather gamble on a guy who like has been around the best coaches his entire career. I do like Patrick Graham too. I like that Bill Belichick connection. Don't do me like that, bro. That DCPS system. As long as it's not Saleh. I know you kind of like him, but seems like a 500 grab if I don't think LaFleur leaves LA. I think he would for a head coaching job, but I see your point. I get it. Rethcam says UNF food, LOL. Used to love pita pit at housing. They used to give big portions where that pita bursts. Then they went corporate and became 30%. Yeah, you got to hate when they go corporate. You got to hate. Chef Florida Boy, Kingsbury is my choice for coach. I mean, I like Kingsbury. I mean, the guy's like got that spread offense. Like I said, already he spreads out the defense. He uses tempo, a lot of no huddle, a lot of play action, and innovative passing concepts. So it would be interesting. I mean, I like it. It seems like everybody wants these young offensive coordinators, which is fine. I get it. Apparently, really like Brady, and so did the Saints. Could be a war. I mean, Joe Brady was in Louisiana when he head coach for LSU. So there is that connection. G. Grant says, with all due respect, why do we trust Baselli with anything besides the ticket box? His commentary during this whole debacle was suspect. Yep. Good guy, though. I think Trevor, at least 3 years giving, he don't produce. Shad Khan's the type of guy to get conned by Saul Goodman. Better Call Saul reference. All right. Marlboro Man, his smoker's voice. I get it now. I get it. Okay. That's a good one. That was a good one. Give first pick for Mike Tomlin and second back. I mean, I don't think they're trading Mike Tomlin. They like Mike Tomlin up there. Can you imagine having a coach where you never have a losing season? Why would you trade him? Even for a first. You're guaranteed to have a winning season. Guaranteed. Why would you get rid of that? Stench Baalke. The best part of the firing right now, besides shedding the light draft talk, is a free-for-all now. No more worrying about arm sizes and measurables. Jordan is a happy man. Yes, he is. Can't wait to hear what Jordan has to say about all this. I'm sure he's already put out a video, or he'll put one out tomorrow morning. Yeah, I mean, there's no telling. I mean, I think either way, the draft does come down to the corner from Michigan, the receiver from Arizona, or the D end from Penn State. I think that's what it comes down to. I think Travis Hunter's gone. I know we don't need a D end, but that dude's might be the best player in the draft, Abdul Carter. I would love to give Brian Thomas another receiver on the other side. And obviously, we are desperately in need of secondary help. And by the way, if we do bring in Robert Saleh, just so everybody knows, his defensive style is very, very boring. Like, he plays 4-down lineman. He rarely blitzes. He sinks back into a handful of coverages. He doesn't out-scheme you. He just tries to get his guys to beat your guys. And I've talked about this on a couple different shows, but the defensive unit he had up there in New York was pretty freaking good. Sauce Gardner, Solomon Thomas, Jermaine Johnson, Will McDonald IV, Carl Lawson, Quinnen Williams. He had a crew up there. He had a crew. So we're going to need help on the defensive side of the ball in the draft for sure. Thomas says Pete Carroll. He technically didn't get fired, and he built that roster for the current head coach, and he revamped Geno Smith's career in Seattle. I think the problem with Pete Carroll is he's a lot old. I know he's young, but he's older than people think. Oh, he's only 73. Okay, I thought he was older than that. 73, he'll turn 74 next year. That's not too bad. Now I can stand to watch the draft again, says John. SR says we don't want Mike Tomlin. I would take Mike Tomlin. I like Mike Tomlin. Nash Henry, who I know Nash Henry does stuff with Travis. He does the Duval dive. So if you go back to my last show with Travis, you can find the link or just search Duval Dive, and they're on there. They did do a great job. Nash Henry does a great job. He says, I don't know if it's just me, but I would give about a 0.1% chance that Liam Cohen reconsiders. Why are so many Jags fans holding on to what my opinion is false hope? Cliff is my number one. So you'd rather have Cliff than Joe Brady. That's fine. And again, I'm not dumping on it. It's just, a little surprising. Because Cliff and again, I'll say it again. Cliff seems to only be able to do it with one type of quarterback. Whether it's Jaden Daniels or Kyler Murray, or did he have Mahomes in college? I don't think Trevor Lawrence draws comps to any of those three guys. Sir Jack 95 says, people mad at Tony because the truth hurts. Well, I think people are mad at Tony because he was defending Baalke. And now Baalke's gone. And it's not just that Baalke's gone, it's that we all knew that Baalke was the problem. Luca says, with Joe Brady's past, do you think it's risky to take him, or do you think his seasons with LSU and now Josh Allen shows that he could be great? Yeah, I mean, I mentioned him earlier having Lamar Jackson. I was thinking of Todd Monken. But yeah, so Josh Allen and Trevor kind of have some comps. I know Josh Allen runs a lot more, but Joe Burrow doesn't. That LSU team was pretty stacked, but they did put up like record-setting numbers. I'd be okay with Joe Brady. Again, you're gambling on all these guys. All these guys are young. All these young OCs that you guys want outside of Cliff Kingsbury have never had a head coaching shot. So we don't know. I mean, remember how hot Josh McDaniels was when he was coming out of New England? And he was one of the worst head coaches ever, besides Gus Bradley. But you have all of that. So you just never know with these offensive guys. You just never know. Or they could be like Kevin O'Connell, come out of the gates swinging. And Kevin O'Connell didn't even call plays. He was just under McVay. The fans hate Mike right now. Patrick Graham or Saul as DC would be a godsend. I also think we have the best situation for Brady by far at this point. I don't think Robert Saleh would come here as a DC. I think he has that 49ers fallback as a DC. I think if he's going to be a DC anywhere, he's going to go back to San Fran. Patrick Graham, though, could be a D coordinator candidate, but that's the thing is when you bring in a head coach, they're going to want to bring in their own staff. So it's weird to interview a guy for a defensive coordinator job when you haven't had a head coach yet, because a head coach is going to want to bring in his own D coordinator. Volkfang Chandler says, I like Brady because he made the Bills good at running the ball. Okay. That's fair. Let's trade all of our draft picks to the Chiefs for Andy Reid. To Chase, what do we think happens at GM? Do you think Ethan Waugh sticks on as GM full-time, or do we go a different direction? Sorry if it's already been asked. No worries. Don't worry about it. Don't say sorry. What do I think? I think Ethan Waugh stays on as GM. Love to hear y'all's opinions on that. Again, going back to this statement, Ethan Waugh will serve as an interim general manager and play an important role with others as we continue the process of interviewing candidates to serve as our new head coach. I don't know. It just makes it seem like Ethan Waugh is going to be around regardless. Robert Saleh is a terrible coach. He'd be better as a coordinator. Davis Humphrey, who's I think his bench press is up to 205 now. So impressive, Davis. Very good. Very good. One day you'll hit 2 plates. He says, how has spring athletics been at school? Well, spring athletics are just actually in tryouts right now. Spring sports don't technically start for a couple weeks. They're finishing up winter sports still. But I appreciate the question. Thank you. Teal Taliban, what do you think about what do you think about the edge from Tennessee, James Pierce Jr.? I haven't done any look at anyone outside of like the top 10 projected players. So if he is a top 10 projected player, I apologize, but I don't know much about him. I watched a handful of Tennessee games. He didn't stand out to me in those games. That means nothing. It means nothing. So I'll do some research and I'll get back with you. Hey Siri, remind me to look up James Pierce Jr.
Okay, I've added look up James Pierce Jr. to the list.
All right, a Kingsbury offense would give Trevor an even earlier retirement. Albright just said the Jags are going to restart the entire process. So buckle up. Oh, dude, I am buckled up, dude. I'm leaning. I'm literally leaning in. I'm leaning forward in my seat. Typically, I'm a little more reclined, but tonight I'm excited. Tonight I'm ready to go. This is a fresh start. This is a restart of the process, and good, because this Jaguars team has had a stink and a stench of losing for 15 years. So good. Will Johnson at 5. Could be another Ramsey in the making. Ramsey was special. I feel like I would notice that, but maybe. We do need a corner desperately, because we don't even know if Tyson Campbell is going to be around with his injury history. Rethkim, I feel that Tony Baselli knew this was happening. The more I think about it, the more out of character he was talking about the search. Think he is EVP? Feel like those hints a month ago are true. They finally fired Baalke. And there were rumblings. If you remember back in December, there were some articles written by some national media guys that talked about Baalke walking away. I talked about them on my show a couple weeks ago. We pulled up the articles. There were some people that were writing about it in early December about rumors of Baalke walking away this year. So maybe this was the plan the whole time. Maybe in these interviews, they told these candidates Baalke's not going to be here. Maybe they found their guy. They've identified it. They've circled him. They've agreed to a contract. Maybe it's Robert Saleh. Maybe it's Patrick Graham. And then maybe now Baalke has fulfilled what he said he'd do. He'd help in the head coaching interviews, and he'd walk away. There's a chance that happened. I know you guys, it's not a strong chance. It's not a sexy opine statement, but there's a chance because there were rumblings of that. They finally, I got that one right. Made it to a live. Booyah. What up, Daquan? You doing all right? Glad you're here. Glad you made it live. We're almost up to 700 people in the live. Wild. How long should we give Trevor to produce before we stop calling him a franchise quarterback? I don't want to get into Trevor tonight. I talk about Trevor a lot on my shows. I appreciate the question, Private Life 904. I want to talk about Baalke being gone, and I will get off on a tirade on Trevor. I've talked about Trevor a lot. We're all kind of in a wait and see situation. We're not as hyped up as we were when we drafted him. He's got to fix these issues. We know he has the injuries. We know he's had different coordinators. We know his offensive line's been bad. We know he's had no run game. We know he's had no outside threats, but he does airmail some guys sometimes. He does fumble sometimes. He does get injured now. But again, don't want to get into it. Maybe it's boring, but is it effective? McMillan would have more reps than Carter, plus elite wide receivers cost too much in free agency. Saw says, Baalke's gone. Jacob says, I think Kingsbury is happy being a coordinator. I mean, and the Commanders. Took me a couple years to stop saying Redskins, but the Commanders are doing really well right now. Unpopular opinion. I think Trevor Lawrence is part of the problem. I don't think it's as popular as you think. But maybe in here it will be. Sir Jags is on the Baalke payroll. Mason Graham is a great pick to make our D-line both balanced and unstoppable. Now, the issue with D-line is there's a lot of cooks in that kitchen, man. When you look at Josh Hines-Allen, when you look at Travon Walker, when you look at Arik Armstead, who all three will be starters next year, then at that next spot, you have Devon Hamilton, you have Mason Smith. Obviously, there's other guys on the roster like Jordan Jefferson, the dude from Oklahoma State we drafted. I mean, there's other guys there, but with Devon Hamilton and Mason Smith, now anybody you take in that first round is going to be a rotational guy for at least 2 years, at least a year. So that's the only problem with D-line is that. Not saying they won't do it, but there's only so many snaps to go around in a game. Speaking of the draft, this may be a head-scratching idea, but do you think the idea of re-signing ETN to a 1 or 2 year, trading Tank Bigsby, trading back and getting the hometown kid, Ashton Jeanty? That's not, it is a crazy idea. I mean, I think on paper it works, but those things don't typically happen in the NFL. I think they like what they have in Tank Bigsby. I think ETN could get a 2-year deal here. But again, with a new GM, unless it's Ethan Wall, there's no telling what'll happen. Now none of these guys. What if they hire Ian Cunningham from the Lions and he doesn't like Trevor Lawrence and wants a new quarterback? What if they bring in a player of pro scout development from the Eagles and he doesn't like any of the defensive players and he just overhauls the entire defense in this offseason? A lot to wait and see coming up here this offseason. Baalke is a paid Jaguars media. Does anyone think he's going to blast a Jaguars GM? Tony loves the Jags and knows football, but he'd be a great assistant GM or EVP. All right, Jeff. Cyclops TV24 says, I was shocked Ben Johnson went to a divisional rival. And I know some Lions fans were upset about that, but how can you be mad at a guy taking the best possible job for him and his family? Mia doesn't sugarcoat anything. She gives it to the organization blood raw. That's a good point. Not all media. Now, Mia is also not in the pride of the Jaguars. And Tony Baalke probably already currently has a little more influence than some of these other media people that, like Rick Ballou is another guy who doesn't sugarcoat anything. But I don't think Mia and Rick Ballou have nearly the influence that Tony does. I think Tony actually probably has some influence with his organization. To be fair, Cliff, Murray is the new type of COD player. He's growing up on OG COD Warfare servers. Kyler would have been better when Cliff was coaching in Arizona. Ditto what Jeff said. Give Baalke a bit of a pass on not blasting the GM. You could read between the lines that Bo also wanted Baalke out. Aiden says Brady got scapegoated in Carolina. I forgot about that. Matt Rule was an awful head coach. CMC barely played, and his quarterbacks were Darnold and Teddy Bridgewater. I think Trevor, BTJ, and T-Mac or any wide receiver can be similar to that Burrow LSU team. Although Darnold had a good year. Are you guys forgetting about Kellen Moore? I said Kellen Moore earlier. I think he's going to the Cowboys. The work that Patrick Graham did with the Raiders defense was awesome. Would be a home run for DC if we could get Brady or Cliff in here. Yeah, he would be great as a DC. He would be. He would probably be the best DC hire we could make. 100%. Volkman says, I live in Steeler country. I explain it to them like this. There's probably 16 teams that would love Tom as their head coach, but at some point, losing the wild card round every year isn't good enough. Well, he does have, 2 Super Bowls? So he doesn't lose in the wild card round every year. I know what you're saying. I'm not trying to pick apart semantically your statement, but he has success. Recently, he hasn't had a good quarterback in a while. But I get it. I'd like Mason Graham to replace Armstead once he drops off or doesn't produce. Just my thoughts. He can pass rush and stop the run. I think we're with Armstead at least a year, right? Maybe 2, at least a year. But maybe a future pick. It shouldn't have taken this long to do a restart. The restart should have began when Peterson was fired. The restart should have began at this time last year, I think, after that collapse that we had. Bucky Brooks GM, Jason Garrett is head coach. Just kidding. Have you canceled the? First of all, Bailey's, the gym I go to, got bought out by a big corporation and they renovated it. So joke's on you. I'm at a better gym now, although it's the same place. Cliff made Daniels the best rookie quarterback in a long time. I think he's learned a lot since his Cardinals days. He did take them to the playoffs. Also has that leadership and relatability factor, in my opinion. Here's the thing is, yes, Cliff did make Daniels the best rookie quarterback, but was it Cliff or was it Cliff in Dan Quinn's system? I know Dan Quinn's a defensive guy, but he's the head coach. He schedules the practices. He schedules everything. There's a lot more to developing a singular player than just calling the plays. Not saying you're wrong. I just think there's more to it than just he was the OC and he was the quarterback. Now, because of that delay of Baalke going out on his own may cost Jags going out his own way cost the Jaguars getting Ben Johnson or Cohen. I legitimately don't think that Cohen or Johnson wanted to come here. I don't think Johnson wanted to come here. I think Cohen was probably 50-50 on coming here, going back to Tampa, and Tampa offered him a lot of money to go back for another year. And if you think about it, and I've said this before, Ben Johnson, what he did last year by turning down jobs and staying for another year and showing that he is a good coordinator made him a lot more money. So maybe it's a way of Liam Cohen trying to re-emulate what Ben Johnson did last year. That would be my guess. Cyclops is Mark Brunell, head coach. Tony G. GM. That'd be wild to go from a quarterback's coach to a GM. The only thing I'm going to say to spy on is whether Trevon Walker moves to DT. If that happens, it literally means that Trent was encouraging the coaches who to play and where at. I mean, I think Trevon Walker's done well at D end. Leave Trevor alone, says Sylvester. Okay. Why would Baselli be GM? Trevon has not moved to DT after 4 years. Draft Luther Burden. Also, let's plan on getting your golf. Oh, my God. Okay, first of all, my golf swing is fine. Okay. Could it be dialed? Yes. Yes, but it's not bad. It's my short game, really. It's inside 50 where I struggle. Baselli would be an EVP if anything. He's just too inconsistent. Talking about Trevor Lawrence. Rap Sheet will have no Jags news without Baalke. That's a good one, Aiden. It's a good one. I would be happy with Will Johnson or a top receiver at 5. Me too. Me too, TJ. Why not John Lynch and San Fran as GM? Okay. About the Baselli thing. I don't know. I don't know enough about it. How you feel about Abdul Carter? I love Abdul Carter. I think if we had a need on the D line anywhere, I would want Abdul Carter. The chance Abdul Carter is not even at 5, but we just don't have a need at D line. Now, best available player versus need. I know you always take best available player, but we just drafted a defensive tackle in the 2nd round last year. He seems like he's pretty good. We have Josh Hines out on a huge contract, and Trevon Walker is a very, very good DN. So it's just, again, it's about is there enough snaps to go around would be the question. I can see that. Burden. We need a cornerback. Yes, we do. Etienne is under contract. I mean, this is his 5th year, right? So we would have to pick up his 5th year option, which would be expensive. There's a chance we cut him this year. And the O-line. Raiden Shogum. Hello. Hello, Pokey. Might draft a running back in the 3rd round after trading him. RB Judkins, a North Carolina running back, trading ETN. Maybe. The defense needs way more help than the offense. We just need an offensive line. Tony Baselli, GM, Leftwich, head coach. I don't want Leftwich here. Jackson, you can be right. Trade back and get Luther Burden, acquire more picks. What's this Luther Burden? Hey, Siri, remind me to look up Luther Burden. And then Darnold spoiled it. Thoughts on Monken? Yeah, I mean, a lot of success with Lamar Jackson. Where was he at before that? I can't remember. Georgia? Yeah. I would kind of have him and Joe Brady in that same category. I guess Joe Brady's worked with Josh Allen, who's a little bit more like Trevor Lawrence than Lamar Jackson is. Etienne was elite before this season. I hope we keep him. Ray Agnew for GM. One thing the Lions front office knows is how to do is build the trenches on both sides. Well, they lucked into Aiden Hutchinson. Tomlin hasn't had a quarterback in 7 years. Oh, man, I'm really far behind comments here. Okay, I'm just going to go a couple more minutes here. Kind of got to pee. And it's almost an hour. Even though there's almost 800 people in here, which is great. Appreciate that. Thank you. I take your words as revelation. Oh, thank you, Murtaza. I appreciate that. You have to be stupid to think Trevon Walker's going to DT. Let's be nice. Pete Briscoe said he'd listen to an EVP position with the Jags. I'm actually not upset with that idea. I don't know why. Why are we just and listen, whatever. Why are we just picking random media people and plugging them into these front office roles? I mean, Bucky Brooks at least has experience in front office. Pete Briscoe, Tony Baselli, Jags United. It should be enough. I don't know, man. I mean, what did Mason Smith play? What, not even 30% of snaps this year? He'll probably go up next year. And then what? I mean, again, let's just take Mason Smith. If he plays 50% of snaps next year, Arik Armstead, Travon Walker, and Hines Allen are going to play most of the snaps. Where is he going to play? I could get behind another wide receiver at 5, or even Carter at 5, and kick Walker inside on passing downs and bring Carter in. But then you're only bringing Abdul Carter in on passing downs. Again, that's 30% of snaps. You're taking a guy in the top 5 for 30% of snaps. Okay, maybe he can take Arik Armstead's job, but then you'd have to kick Travon Walker inside. I think Travon Walker's been plenty good outside. We already picked up ET. Okay, see, I just don't know anything. I like Ray Agnew or Lance Newmark for GM, but Lance is likely headed to the Jets. Monka's most impressive thing is making Carson Beck look decent. Carson Beck's a good quarterback. If you could pick any GM and coach currently available, who'd you pick? Again, I don't know much about GMs. Ray Agnew's a popular name. Is it Ian Cunningham's a popular name? I don't know. Someone from the Lions or the Eagles probably, because they draft and sign free agents well. Head coach for me, realistically, probably Joe Brady. I don't think Mike LaFleur is realistic. I think Robert Saleh is like the betting favorite and probably the favorite. Can't have too many DTs in the kitchen. Okay. I'm just worried about the snaps. I'm just worried about, and again, there's injuries. You're right, but I'm just worried about the snaps. I still have a feeling it's going to be Saleh. Who do you think will end up being as of this moment? I think it'll be Saleh. I think you're right on, Nash. I think you're spot on. Spot on with Saleh. I think that's who it'll be. And I think they already know it. Good. What Bailey's do you go to? Because I go to the one in Oakleaf. I go to the one in Jack's Beach. I live out at the beach. So I've been going there actually since I was 16. So for a long time. My 16th birthday present from my parents was a membership to Bailey's. I've been going ever since. Think Mia talked about her choices of future GMs if Baalke got fired. Oh, maybe I need to listen to it then. Sports Illustrated has us taking a cornerback at 5th there. And we are so bad in the secondary. We are so bad in the secondary. I feel like you have to upgrade that. I mean, you need another wide receiver. You could get a free agent wide receiver. You could get a free agent corner too. But we are just so bad at corner. And I'm not even really convinced on Tyson Campbell anymore. Great player skill-wise, dude can't stay healthy. So, yeah, I would take it. Just saying, if guys aren't producing, I'd love to have Graham that could be productive. If they aren't producing, I'd put Graham plus Armstead won't play that much longer. Or even if you Mason Graham's a good player. I mean, I think Abdul Carter's a better player on the D-line. I know they play different positions on the D-line, but I think Abdul Carter's like special. Rams GM? We need Will Johnson or the wide receiver from Arizona. Yeah, McMillan. I'd rather have Mike McCarthy in his 12-5 seasons over Saleh. That's a good point. Mike McCarthy, we haven't talked a lot about him. I don't know what's going on with that. I would take Mike McCarthy here. I would take him over Saleh for sure. I'm with you there, Robert. I'd rather have a new DTs to push Lacey and Ledbetter off the team. Not good enough. I agree. It's just that Lacey and Ledbetter were barely playing. So you push them off the team, who moves into that role of barely playing? Is it Mason Smith, who you took in the 2nd round? Is it the guy you just drafted? Is it Devon Hamilton? We'll come to Waffle House. Welcome to Waffle House. I work 1 to 9, Peach and 3rd. 1 to 9, I'm guessing PM and not 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. because I am not up that late usually. Cornerback is a no-brainer at pick 5. Wide receiver, you can make a case for wide receiver. You definitely could. All right, I think that's going to wrap it up for me. That's going to wrap it for me. Wait, we'll get Daniel in here. We'll get Dan in here. We'll get Dan. How disappointed would you be if Leftwich is hired as a head coach? I'd be very disappointed. Is he even coaching right now? Does he have a job? He could. I have no clue. I didn't want him as a quarterback when he was here. Didn't want him as a head coach a couple years ago. Don't want him now. No, thank you. Yeah, it's gonna wrap it up for me. Appreciate you guys for being here. We're almost up to 800 people watching, which is amazing, between Twitter and YouTube. Appreciate that. If you would do me a favor, real quick, and hit the thumbs up button. It helps the algorithm, YouTube algorithm. So I've been told. What else you could do is you can also tell a Jags fan about this. Say, hey, you're a Jags fan. I'm a Jags fan. This YouTube guy, also a Jags fan. Get him in here. So spread the word. I will be back soon. Maybe Friday with Travis. Maybe Friday without Travis. Maybe not Friday at all. So we'll see. But if you subscribe to the YouTube channel and turn on the alert bell, you will get an alert every time we're live. It's usually 9 p.m. though. So just maybe look around 9 p.m. if you want to see it. Again, thank you. Thank you so much. I never like shows going without me saying that I love you all from the bottom of my heart, that you would spend time here with me. It is humbling. It is awesome that there's this many Jags fans that want to talk Jags with me and with each other. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Today is a good day, Jags fans. It's a good day. All right, so we're going to move on. We're going to get a new coach. We're going to get a new GM. We're going to get a draft pick. We're going to get excited. We're going to have fun. And we're going to be ready for the next season. I love you guys. I'll see you guys very, very soon. Until then, as always, go Jags.